Picture this scenario, because I guarantee it has happened to you in the last month. It is 6 p.m. on a Friday. You have just finished the 45-hour work week. You're physically present in your car or on the train, but your brain is completely fried. You're driving home and the idea of cooking a meal seems about as appealing as climbing Mount Everest. So you pull up the delivery app, you order a Thai food or pizza or burgers that cost you $45 with the tip and fees. Then you get home. You crack open a beer or pour a glass of wine to take the edge off, and you sink into the couch to binge a show you don't even really like, just to turn your brain off. You tell yourself, I earned this. I worked hard all week. But what if I told you that mathematically you didn't just spend $45? What if I told you that the pizza, the gas you burned driving home, the nice shirt you wore to the office, and the stress that forced you to order that food in the first place are all hidden taxes that are reducing your salary by nearly 70%? You think you were selling your time for $30 an hour, but after we do the forensic accounting on your life, the math proves you might be working for less than $4 an hour. My name is Sam, and I spend way too much time obsessing over the invisible equations that govern our lives and keep us running on hamster wheels that are moving slightly faster than we can run. If you are someone who looks at your paycheck and wonders where it all goes, or if you feel like you're working harder in late 2025 than ever before, but your savings account is basically flat, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Because today we aren't talking about investing, we're talking about an accounting fraud. Not one committed by a corporation, but one you are unknowingly committing against yourself every single time you accept a job offer based on the gross salary. We are going to calculate your real hourly wage. And I have to warn you, once you see this number, you will never look at a price tag the same way again. Here's the fundamental lie we're all sold from the moment we graduate school. We are told that our value is defined by our annual salary. If you make $65,000 a year, that's roughly $31 an hour. That sounds decent, it's respectable, it's enough to live, theoretically. But in the business world, looking at revenue without looking at expenses is how companies go bankrupt. If a bakery sells $1 million worth of bread but spends $1.1 million on flour and rent, that bakery is worth zero. Yet when it comes to our own labor, we only look at the revenue, the salary. We completely ignore the cost of goods sold. And the good being sold is you, your life, your energy, and the cost of selling yourself to an employer is astronomical. Let's perform a brutal audit of a hypothetical average worker in this economy. Let's call him Alex. Alex makes that respectable $31 an hour. But before that money even hits his account, the government takes his cut. Between federal tax, state tax, and FICA, that $31 is instantly shaven down to about $24. That's the easy math. We all know that. But now we have to subtract the work-related costs. These are the expenses Alex pays solely for the privilege of having his job. First, the commute. The average American spends thousands of dollars a year on gas, car maintenance, and insurance just to get to the building where they make the money. If he drives 30 minutes each way, that's wear and tear on a vehicle that he basically only owns to get to work. If he takes the train, it's the monthly pass. Let's conservatively say this costs him $4,000 a year. Then there's the cost of appearance. Alex can't roll out of bed and go to the office in his pajamas. He needs business casual clothes. He needs dry cleaning. He needs to look professional. That's an expense. Then there's the convenience tax. This is the big one. Because Alex is at the office from 9 to 5. He buys lunch twice a week because he didn't have time to meal prep. He buys the $5 coffee because he needs the caffeine to survive the 2 p.m. meeting. He pays for the dog walker because he's not home to let the dog out. These are costs that would not exist if he didn't have the job. He's spending money to work. And then there's the darkest category of all, decompression spending. This is the money Alex spends to numb the pain of the job. It's the Friday night bar tab. It's the impulsive vacation he books because he needs to get away. It's the therapy bills, It's the retail therapy. It is the money we spend to heal the damage the job inflicts on our psyche. When you add all these monetary costs up, the taxes, the car, the clothes, the lunches, the numbness, Alex isn't taking home $65,000. His net real income might be closer to $35,000. But we're only halfway through the equation because wage is a function of money divided by time. And just like we overestimate the money, we drastically underestimate the time. HR says Alex works 40 hours a week, but that's a lie. Alex wakes up at 6:30 a.m. to shower, shave, and iron his shirt. That's 30 minutes of labor for the employer. He drives 30 minutes to work. That's unpaid labor. He takes an hour for lunch, which is technically off the clock, but he can't go home. He can't nap. He can't play with his kids. He's held captive by the office. Then he drives 30 minutes home. Then, when he gets home, he spends 30 minutes decompressing, staring at the wall, venting to his partner about his boss, checking emails on his phone. All of this is shadow work. It is time that belongs to the job, but the job doesn't pay for it. If you add up the grooming, the commuting, the decompressing, and the worrying, Alex isn't working 40 hours a week. He's dedicating 55 or 60 hours a week to his employment. So now, let's do the real math, the real hourly wage. We take that whittled down net income of $35,000 and we divide it by the inflated true hours of nearly 3,000 hours a year. When you punch that into a calculator, that $31 an hour evaporates. Suddenly, Alex is making $11 an hour, or $8, or in some high-stress, high-cost-of-living scenarios, he's mathematically making less than the teenager flipping burgers down the street, because the teenager walks to work, wears a uniform, and leaves his stress at the fry station. This is the work scam. You have been tricked into a high-churn, low-margin business model where you are the product and you're selling yourself at a loss. And look, I know this sounds depressing. You might be thinking, "Great, Sam, I'm broke and my job sucks. Thanks for the update." But the reason we do this math isn't to make you depressed. It is to make you angry, and more importantly, to make you efficient. Once you know your real hourly wage, your entire view of consumerism changes. This is a concept popularized by the book Your Money or Your Life, and it's the antidote to being broke. Let's say you calculate your real hourly wage and it turns out to be $10 an hour. Now you walk into a store and see a new pair of shoes for $100. The price tag says $100, but your brain needs to translate that. That isn't $100. That's 10 hours of your life. That's 10 hours of sitting in traffic, dealing with passive-aggressive emails, and missing your family. Is that pair of shoes worth 10 hours of suffering? Suddenly, the answer is almost always no. This math exposes the trap of the golden handcuffs. We often take promotions that offer more money but come with exponentially higher costs. Let's say you get promoted to manager. They offer you $10,000 a raise. Awesome, right? But now you have to work late every night, so you order takeout every night. You have to buy nicer suits. You need a second car because you can't carpool anymore. And your stress levels skyrocket, so you book a more expensive vacation. You might actually find that your real hourly wage actually goes down after a promotion. You're processing more money through your bank account, but you're keeping less of it, and you're giving up more of your life to get it. There's also a hidden opportunity cost here that is terrifying. When you spend your money on the costs of working, the commute, the convenience food, you're robbing your future self of compound interest. That $5 a day on coffee because you're too tired to brew it at home, over 30 years invested at 7%, that's nearly $200,000. You aren't just drinking coffee, you're drinking your retirement. You're drinking your freedom. The system relies on you being too exhausted to do this math. They rely on you being a passive consumer of your own life. They want you to think, "I make good money," so you keep signing the lease on the luxury apartment and financing the luxury car, keeping you trapped in the cycle of needing the job to pay for the things you bought to tolerate the job. So, what is the solution? How do we break this equation? The answer is not necessarily quit your job tomorrow and live in the woods. We have to be realistic. We have bills. The solution is to ruthlessly optimize your real hourly wage. This becomes the new metric for your success, not income, but efficiency. Can you negotiate working from home 2 days a week if you save 2 hours of commuting and $10 of gas? You just gave yourself a massive raise without the company paying you a dime more. Can you start meal prepping on Sunday? That lowers your cost of goods sold. Can you move closer to work? Can you stop caring about what your coworkers think of your clothes? Every dollar of work expense you cut is a dollar of pure freedom. But the biggest shift is psychological. You have to start treating your labor like a business. A smart business owner